Have you ever wondered why the sky has been changing so fast lately? What I'm about to tell you never made it to TV. It wasn't headline news, but it's real and happening right above your head. Lights appearing in the sky with no explanation. Storms that seem to obey invisible commands. Sounds no one should hear, but that were recorded. There's a hidden facility in Alaska, capable of sending waves that travel through the atmosphere, and according to some, even alter your mind. They say it's just scientific research. But what if it's not? What if the weather is the new invisible weapon? Because if all this is true, no one is really safe. In 2010, Haiti was devastated by an earthquake that killed over 200,000 people. But few know that weeks before, the sky above the island looked strange. Blue lights danced on the horizon, like something was activating the atmosphere. Witnesses reported metallic sounds coming from the sky. Coincidence or experiment? HAARP, a real yes project located in Alaska, is officially aimed at studying the ionosphere, but many believe it's actually a weapon for weather manipulation. Using high-frequency waves, HAARP can heat layers of the atmosphere, and some theorists say this could cause storms, hurricanes, and even earthquakes. What if what happened in Haiti was just a test? Now think about this, why did so many nations demand the project be shut down? Russia, China, and even the European Union formally requested explanations. If it was just an academic experiment, why so much fear? The answer might lie in what happened in 2021 when the planet's weather went completely crazy. In 2008, just before the Beijing Olympics, China proudly announced it would control the weather to ensure clear skies during the Games. And they did. Not a single rain cloud appeared during the opening ceremony. The method? Cloud seeding, but some say it was much more advanced. Leaked documents reveal Chinese scientists used electromagnetic pulse technologies similar to HAARP experiments. It wasn't just about dispersing clouds, but altering the atmosphere's behavior on a large scale. Curiously, weeks later, torrential rains destroyed neighboring provinces. Did someone meddle where they shouldn't have? Here lies the mystery. Why was instead this a headline in international news? One of the largest climate manipulations in history, and complete silence. Who decides what the media covers? And who is behind these tests disguised as scientific progress? What came next was even stranger. Hurricane Katrina in 2005 was one of the greatest US tragedies. But behind the scenes, independent scientists and ex-military started raising suspicions. Not about the storm's strength, but its strange behavior. Its path abruptly changed, as if it was being guided. This raised an uncomfortable question. Is it possible to control a hurricane? Some pointed out that in the days before, intense radio frequency activity was detected near the Gulf of Mexico, a signature similar to HAARP tests. Also, US defense documents had mentioned weather modification as a strategic weapon since the 1970s. Coincidence or part of a puzzle never solved? Here's the point no one wants to discuss. If you can control the weather, you can decide who suffers and who thrives. With a storm, you can paralyze economies, destroy entire regions, and make it look like a natural disaster. But what if none of that was an accident? In 1977, a treaty was signed by many nations banning the use of environmental modification techniques for military or hostile purposes. Yes, you read that right. This has been discussed for almost 50 years. The official name? Convention on the Prohibition of Military or Any Other Hostile Use of Environmental Modification Techniques. Now think, why ban something that supposedly doesn't exist? This untreaty specifically mentions earthquakes, tsunamis, and weather manipulation as potential weapons of war. The scariest part? It was never revoked. Yet projects like HAARP, Sura, Russia, and other facilities remain active with public funding. We are paying for something no one explains. Here lies the real mystery. If this was fiction, why would an international law need to regulate this technology? What has been done, or tested, that made us create a global law in silence? The answer may be in a military experiment so secret that no one has proved it happened, but many swear they saw it. During certain HAARP tests in Alaska, locals reported something out of a sci-fi movie. Pulsating, multicolored lights covering the sky in unusual patterns. Unlike the normal aurora borealis, the These lights appeared at times and places where the phenomenon shouldn't occur, and always, coincidentally, during ionosphere tests. These reports were backed by amateur videos and statements from former project employees, claiming HAARP can manipulate electromagnetic fields on a continental scale. Some believe this interferes not only with weather, but also with the human mind. Imagine using frequencies to alter mass behavior, unnoticed. Crazy theory, or real technology hidden? What's most disturbing is that after these tests, many migratory birds disappeared from the area, compasses stopped working, and people reported widespread headaches, all in silence. No TV coverage, no investigations. And here comes the question no one answers: what else have they tested, and we never knew? Dr. Bernard Eastland was one of the inventors behind the original patent that inspired HAARP. In his early studies, he described using high-frequency electromagnetic waves to alter weather and interfere with global communications. Yes, this was officially registered with the US Patent Office, but when he started giving interviews about military uses, he stopped talking, vanished from the media, and you can guess the rest. Eastland claimed his ideas could cause atmospheric explosions without nuclear weapons. He said the system could target satellites and even manipulate the climate of specific regions. Though HAARP denies these applications, the technical structure for that exists. It's there, and it's still active. What no one mentions is that other scientists involved also disappeared from the spotlight. They switched fields. They went silent. Coincidence? Or when getting too close to something dangerous, they were forced to retreat. What came next was even more unsettling, involving a leaked confession never made public. In 1996, a military report called Weather as a Force Multiplier, Owning the Weather in 2025, was published in the US Air Force Archives. This document detailed how the military could use weather as a strategic weapon. Yes, it was there, controlling rain, storms, fog, even causing droughts in enemy countries, all in the name of national security. The shocking part is that this document wasn't theory, it was a plan. A real forecast of what the US could achieve by 2025. And guess what? We are in 2025 now. The report talked about using technology similar to HAARP, sending waves to change weather patterns and dominate war scenarios without firing a single shot, all on the invisible battlefield of weather. Now the question no one asks if this was public knowledge. Imagine what remains locked in underground bunkers. What are they testing today in total silence, while the world watches climate change? But this wasn't the only clue. The next came from a remote military base where a strange noise was picked up and nobody could explain. In 2014, sensors in the Arctic detected a powerful underground sound, a vibration so intense it was felt by military bases miles away. The audio, nicknamed the Bloop 2.0, was quickly classified as confidential, but a technician leaked a clip. What was heard didn't sound natural. It sounded like an engine. But of what? Some experts said it could be a rare seismic event, but those who heard it closely said there were rhythmic patterns, like a machine operating deep underground. Coincidence or not, at the same week, HAARP was conducting special frequency tests in the Northern Hemisphere. Tests never detailed. Here's the most disturbing detail. After the sound, ice around the station began cracking in geometric shapes. It wasn't natural melting. It was as if something was activating. Is HAARP just messing with weather, or are buried structures being awakened by these waves? The next clue came from the US airspace itself. In recent years, many commercial pilots reported severe turbulence in regions where the sky was perfectly clear. No clouds, no storms, but violent winds and strange instrument behavior. In 2018, an American Airlines flight nearly lost altitude in calm air. Official explanation? Unexpected atmospheric phenomenon. But no one mentioned HAARP. What few know is that these areas of invisible turbulence coincide with zones where HAARP and similar projects tested air frequency variations. These waves can alter air density, creating pressure pockets radar can't detect. To sensors, the sky is clear, but to planes, it's like hitting an invisible wall. Dangerous, silent, unexplainable. Here's the mystery no one wants to face. If this is possible, how many plane crashes were caused by technological interference? How many were blamed on human error, when really, something in the sky was altered without warning? And the darkest part, Why did some flights carry passengers involved with military or scientific projects? The next revelation is even darker. In Gakona, Alaska, home to the HAARP facility, locals report a bizarre phenomenon during certain times of the year: inability to sleep. With no medical explanation, people wake in the night with headaches, nausea, and unexplained anxiety. Local doctors investigated, finding no physical cause, only one coincidence: it happens during HAARP's increased testing. A nurse from the area anonymously said even animals behave strangely then. Dogs howl endlessly, birds circle the skies, and the night's silence feels artificial. She admitted to wearing earplugs even without hearing sound, as if her body sensed something the ears could not. Something vibrating in the air, something invisible yet present. What's more frightening is that HAARP employees don't live there. They come in, do tests, and leave. Like they know staying too long at those frequencies isn't safe. If the project is harmless, why flee the side effects? But this isn't the only town affected. The next case happened thousands of miles away, caught by satellite. In 2020, NASA satellite images revealed something unusual over the North Pacific. A huge circular pattern with perfect concentric lines appeared among normal clouds. It looked like a symbol. It lasted less than 40 minutes, but was enough to perplex meteorologists. "This isn't natural," said a climatologist from Stanford. These formations matched the time of a HAARP test announced in an academic bulletin. Coincidence? Maybe. But when compared to similar 1990s experiments, they found these patterns always appeared in atmospheric interference zones. The boldest claim these signs are traces of hidden communication, technology trying to express itself through weather. The most sinister part? After the pattern appeared, a magnetic blackout hit a nearby military base, freezing instruments, as if the air itself had been switched off. No one explained what caused it. But one thing's certain: they are drawing in the sky, leaving traces. What if these marks are a code, a signal? The next event was even more enigmatic, involving a desert experiment. In 2017, residents near Nevada's desert reported something science still can't explain. The ground shook like an earthquake, but seismographs showed silence. No tectonic activity. The event was localized and fast. It happened just a few miles from a military base. And guess what project was operating that week? That's right, HAARP. The event caused cracks in roads, doors opening on their own, and a low hum, almost inaudible, vibrating windows. But the scariest part is the official reports said underground tests. Yet no digging or explosives happened there. So, what caused the silent seismic wave? Some engineers suggested it was an electromagnetic pulse from above, affecting the ground directly. What if HAARP can not only change weather, but also manipulate Earth's crust? Is this the new invisible war, where earthquakes, tremors, and structural collapses can be triggered without missiles? What comes next raises even more questions, involving an important figure in an interview almost no one saw. Paul Hellyer, former Canadian Defense Minister, gave a bombshell interview in 2014. On international TV, he said certain weather manipulation technologies were secretly in use, and humanity was in danger from groups beyond public control. He named HAARP as one of those tools. The interview went viral for a few hours, then vanished, silenced. Hellyer said these technologies were years ahead of what people imagine, and many came from cooperation with non-human intelligences. That's right. He suggested weather control was just the surface of a bigger project, linked to interplanetary communication, mind frequency modulation, and natural resource domination via weather. All said by a former top military official. The strangest part? After the interview, his team reported constant device failures, missing files, and discreet harassment. Coincidence, or a warning for speaking too much? Hellyer died in 2021, and with him, perhaps part of the secret. But the most shocking was yet to come, involving a message from space itself. In 2003, astronomers picked up a sequence of signals from the Hercules constellation. The frequency was unusual. It didn't match any known stellar pulse. For days, observatories worldwide analyzed the pattern, until it stopped. But what happened next was strange. HAARP suspended tests indefinitely. No official explanation, only silence. Theorists say the sound pattern had a binary structure similar to the famous 1977 wow signal. It could have been a response or a warning. Some insiders believe HAARP tests interfered with cosmic communication zones, and that pulse was a kind of alert. From whom, from where, and why? The coincidence is frightening. HAARP not only stopped, but issued a vague statement about a technical review. Since then, tests returned less frequently, but with more intensity. New frequencies, deeper patterns, always accompanied by climate disturbances. Could this signal prove we're messing with something beyond Earth? The final revelation connects all this to the future and to you. There's an internal document leaked by a former DARPA employee describing a dark goal: use the weather as a tool of social control. We're no longer talking about hurricanes or artificial rain, but manipulating atmospheric frequencies to affect you, your mood, your clarity, your ability to react. According to this source, HAARP is only the rough interface of something bigger, an invisible war for control of the human mind. It sounds like a movie, but the foundations are real. Electromagnetic stimuli can influence brain waves. In secret 1990s experiments, entire populations reported sudden depression, mass panic, and insomnia, all in regions coinciding with atmospheric tests. Imagine living in a world where your emotions can be induced by pulses in the air, and you don't even notice. Now, think carefully. If someone can control the weather and indirectly control mass behavior, do we still have free will? Or are we all part of a global experiment disguised as technological progress? Maybe, in the end, HAARP is just the tip of the iceberg, because real control has already begun. Now that you've heard all this, stop and think. How many of the disasters we've seen in recent years were truly natural? How many were silently shaped by invisible hands, using technology most people don't even know exists? If it's possible to control the sky, what else are they controlling without us noticing? You have two choices. Ignore this and go on as if nothing happened, or start questioning, watching. Paying attention to the signs they hide in plain sight, because the truth is out there, and they're counting on your silence. If this content made sense to you, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell, and share this with someone who also deserves to know the truth.